Now the president's making his pitch yet again to hike the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour to Republican Senator John Thune, who says maybe you should focus on just hiking the number of jobs first. Senator, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Neil. Always nice to be with you.
I don't know if you had a chance to hear those protesters. They just didn't seem to be into it. But you say the president should be into just getting more jobs, and then we can start debating how much more we pay him, right?
Right. What the president's doing, Neil, is he's betting it all on a policy that everybody says would cost jobs and raise prices for people in this country. The Congressional Budget Office said that the minimum wage increase the president is supporting would cost us up to 1 million jobs. Why would we be doubling down on policies that we know are going to cost jobs? And study after study shows that. So we think that's a bad approach, and what the president ought to do is work with us on policies that will actually make it less expensive to hire workers so we can get people who've been unemployed for a long period of time back to work.
You know, though, Senator, I mean, you and I have chatted about this before, but I always think that this is a part of a liberal trap for conservatives, because then you come across, and I know you quite well that you're not this way, but the Republicans come across as being heartless, and how can they be against hiking the minimum wage? But Republicans are not very convincing at making the argument that this will hurt jobs, that in other words, in an environment like this, and one of the most anemic recoveries in American history, this is hardly going to compel bosses to hire people. In fact, it will do just the opposite. How is it that Republicans have botched that argument?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't accept the premise that the argument's been botched. I mean, I think the argument is very clear. And when you present to the American people the counter argument, and that is that every empirical study, every piece of evidence shows, and the Congressional Budget Office estimates that this would cost the economy up to 1 million jobs and that it would raise prices. Those are very real impacts on the economy in this country at a time when we're trying to get people back to work and trying to grow and expand the economy. This puts another layer of cost on top of the economy. But that's where you come in. That gets translated all through the economy, and it's just going to affect every small business in America.
No, I understand that, but then you come along with a plan longer term that's going to encourage job growth. What would that be? Because the rap you're going to get from Democrats is, well, they're very good at bashing hiking the minimum wage, but they don't have a plan of their own. You do. What is it?
Well, it is, and here's an alternative. Just think about doing this instead of raising the minimum wage. How about we exempt employers from the employer mandate in Obamacare so that if they hire an employee who's been unemployed for a long period of time, they save several $1,000s on the penalty? How about allowing them to have a 6-month payroll tax holiday, which will lower the cost of hiring someone who's been unemployed for a long period of time? Allow people who have been unemployed for a long period of time, give them up to $10,000 in low-interest loans so they can relocate to cities or states where the unemployment rate is a lot lower. And then let's consolidate. I've got a proposal to consolidate 35 of the 50 worker training programs at the federal level spread across 9 federal agencies, many of which are duplicative and have never been evaluated as to whether they're effective or not. Consolidate those into one, shift the powers to the states so that the states can design worker training programs that fit the needs of their states. I mean, these are, to me, the kinds of things we ought to be talking about because they address the fundamental problem. They address the underlying cause of chronic high unemployment instead of just treating the symptom, which is what the Democrats always want to do.
Not bad. Makes way too much sense, Senator, so unfortunately that's going nowhere. I'm kidding. Senator Thune, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very, very much. John Thune of the fine state of South Dakota. Well, for